Hi, everyone. Welcome to Live with Janome. I'm going to turn my camera on. Today, we're talking about Paint, Stitch, and Sketch in our V2 update. And I've talked about it a couple times, but I wanted to show you a couple things that I've been playing around with. I really love the way we can add things as a clipping region, how we can clip things away, and we can make shapes in our Paint Stitch and in our Sketch. It really has broadened a lot of things I've wanted to do. It makes it easier. We found workarounds before, but now we can do it. We don't have to go save as a Jeff and bring it back in. It makes it so much easier. So let me go, and I'm going to open my software and show you a couple things that I did. Let me get my software open here. There we go. And I'm going to open up just a couple things that I did recently. One of them is this here, where you can clip out your letters out of the Paint Stitch. Now, what I did with this one, this is very large. See, this is the RE46. I brought in my Paint Stitch and I did fit to hoop, and it filled the hoop. And then I'll show you how to do the letter part. I don't want to do the whole thing today, filling the hoop, because it's like 300 and something stitches, plus I'm streaming at the same time. So it puts a lot of stress on my computer. But you could do it fit to hoop and then get your letters this large. These are 7.5 inches high. So these are great. I did something like this back when we had to do it the hard way, and this was so much better. So I'm going to close that right now, and I'm going to show you how I did that. I have a couple different graphics here. I'm going to use this one here, and I'm going to bring that in as a Paint Stitch. Now it's coming in, it comes in small like that. And that's why on that other one I did fit to hoop. And right up here, this is where we have our fit to hoop. But I'm not gonna do it because it's a lot of stitches. I'm just going to use my corner handles and make this larger. Now we couldn't do this before in the in version 1.7. We couldn't make it larger. We'd have to bring it in, make sure we changed it back there that it was large, and it had a limit on it. And so over here are my parameters. So I'm going to make a few changes before I get started. I'm going to turn it to marathon. I use a lot of marathon threads. I have a lot of those. There's a lot of nice shades. I'm going to keep the colors at 15. I may change the density. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so you can see. It has a little bit of openings in there, so maybe the density, we'll bring it this way, and we can see it got a little heavier, and now it's 131,000 stitches. That's fine. So that's pretty good. And then if I need to do a little smoothing, I can click that. It'll take away little stitches. And then if I want to do blending, usually I leave it standard. Let's see what high blending does. I don't know, it did maybe a tiny little bit extra. If I need to change the contrast or the brightness, of course I can play with those. And so your contrast, I think I liked it back wherever it was. There we go. So that looks pretty good on there. So what I'm going to do is, because I'm going to use this a couple different ways. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy it and open a new page and paste it over here. And then I'm going to use my center to hoop, clicking on my machine up there. So let's go back to the first one. So how did I do those letters? What I did is I went in here to my text tab, and I used the XBG, and I think this is the one I used, 013, but I'll show you a little tip. I'm going to put my letters right here like that. If you click back in here, and we're at 013, and then click again, you can use your mouse wheel. Whoops, there we go. You can use your mouse wheel, and it will scroll to the different fonts so you can see what everything looks like. Let me get in close. So you can just scroll along like this to figure out which one you want. That one's pretty too. I'm going to go back because I like that 013 one. But you can use any that you like. I always like to look when I'm going to fill a letter. I like a nice chunky font. There we go. That's our 013. So I'm going to select it, and that turns off the text tool. I'm going to bring it down here to the center of my love, and then I'm just going to use the corner handles to drag it out this way and drag it out that way. Of course, I could use the toolbox here and put in numbers. I could put in percentages, and sometimes I just like to stretch things up because I want to see where where everything's going. And maybe I want to get some part of a extra flower over there, something like that. So once you have it in there, what you can do, I could stitch it just like this. You can see how it removed the part that's under there. And, or I could actually, if I click here and do combine, I can have it like this. Okay. So I selected both and I right clicked combine. Let's undo that. But what I want to do is I want to have the letters with the flowers in it. So I'm going to right click, and at the very bottom here it says add as clipping region. So there's my clipping region. Isn't that cool? I think that's really, really neat. I love that. Now, even though I have it here, we can change it back to something else by clicking in our properties. I could make it a sketch at this point and then play with it. I would have to adjust that. And then I could do a cross stitch or a photo stitch with it. And we'll talk photo stitch next week. But I'm going to go with the PaintStitch because that's what this one I wanted. Whoops, not that one. I wanted PaintStitch. There we go. And then once I get it here, I can still make more changes if I need to. But that's, now I can stitch this on the back of a jacket, or I could add it into it like a tote bag, make it a part of a tote bag. I could put my name, you could do lots and lots of different things with that. So one of the other things you can do is you can, I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to select it and I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to come back over here to this one. And this one, I'm going to make a sketch. There we go. And of course, in a sketch, you might want to change your density. And I always like to, to try the different controls just to see if it does enough for me. Now that I don't like, so let me go back up here. And it did this earlier too, so I may need to, let me undo. And undo again, undo again. Let's see what happens. All right, so we're gonna have, all right. Now, let me go ahead. I'm gonna clear this one right here. I'm saying don't save. Over here, I am going to undo this and get it back to this. And I'm gonna delete my love for a minute. Come on, delete love. There we go. I'm going to copy this again and put it over here on a new page. And here we go. Center it. I'm going to make it a sketch right away. Let's see what happens. We're going to go to sketch. There we go. All right. And then you can change the contrast in here. And I also like to change the sketch brush. I like to make that shorter. Sometimes it makes it more full. This can be a 4 for the shades. So you can play around with that some more, but I'm going to leave that here. We'll come back to it. I have to be careful because I am streaming, and these are big, heavy designs, and your computer is really working hard. So I try to only have like 2 windows open at a time. And I'm going to type my love again. Click the selection tool to turn off the lettering tool. Any tools you have on the left side, you have to remember to click select to turn them off. All right, so here we go. We'll just make this big. I'll hit shift and select in my sequence window, right click on top of the design, add as clipping region. Oops, I think I missed it. There we go. And then I'm going to copy this and I'm going to go over here and paste it on top of here. And I'm just going to align it in there like that. There we go. So now it's sort of the look I'm trying to get is those flowers that are kind of back here are part of this flower. So you kind of get that filled in. That looks like a little sheep in there too, doesn't that? That's really weird. I don't know. So you can combine things this way. Or if I want to use it, in just the sketch with the letters, I can do that as well. So it's a lot of fun that you can play with all of these different things. One other thing you can do, and I'm not going to save these, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it in one more time. I'm going to show you. Well, let me open this and show you. You can isolate areas and just have certain areas turned into sketch. Now, I added this extra stitch in there, and I just traced around my item and added a decorative stitch on there. But you could do it where you split your heart, and I just used my digitize tool. So let me go ahead and I'll open this one again. We'll open it as PaintStitch. I'll enlarge it a bit. And then I drew a heart using my Digitize Outline Shape tool. And I have mine set at the context tool. So this is the default. So this means when I want a corner or a line node or square, I'm going to have to hit Shift and left click. And then all my left clicks are curves. Let's see here. There we go. And then one on top like that. There we go. And then I can select it. I can also go back to my edit nodes and I could adjust this. I could bring in a graphic as well, but I thought I would show you using the Digitize Outline Shape tool. There are other options for this tool. If you go into your tools and tool options on a PC, and if you go to Artistic and Preferences, you'll find it in there. So you can lay this up on top just like that, like we did before. If I needed a giant hole in there, I could use that. And maybe I was going to put some kind of wording in there, like for some kind of a wedding announcement or something, and then have all that floral around it. That would be pretty. But here I'm going to select this, and I'm going to right click back over on the design, add as clipping region. So there's my heart. And then I can come in here and I can isolate a section, kind of like I did with the posy. So if I wanted to come around this flower or this shape, come down around here, maybe I want to go around this red one and up around this one. There we go. And then if I select, I think I have to make those close. Hang on one second. Let's see. And if I do, whoops, oh, I know I don't have the tool turned off. That helps. All right, so if I select this, all right, so not that. Let me do this. Let me get my nodes together. And then I'm going to select them and join them. And then I have a region here. Let's give it a fill because I think it needs a fill. And then on this, I can change that into that shape. Let me go back here in this one here. So I had my shape and then I changed it into the sketch in the middle there. That I think is really, really fun. But let me show you one that I did. I'm going to delete these. And you could play around with all different kinds of shapes of, adding, using the clipping region. Here I just did a zigzag to take it out. But over here, I'm going to open this one to show you. This one here, I have the picture of my son and his wife, Caitlin, and their dog, Posy. And then I isolated Posy and made Posy a paint stitch and from another one and brought it over. So, and this is how you would do that heart. So let me open up the design of them. Here it is. And I'm going to open it as a paint stitch first. There we go. And actually, let me delete that because I want to close. I want to bring in this, but I don't want all that sky. We don't need all that sky. So if you don't get these little dots, if you left click and drag, you'll get those cropping dots. So there we go. I'm going to crop that down a little bit. I might crop it up a little bit down here. And I'm going to make it a paint stitch and okay. And then I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. There we go, something like that. And then I can go ahead and make changes over here if I want to the brand of colors that I'm using. If I need to change the density, of course, you make all those changes before you go too far. And I actually make all my changes before I make a copy of it because I need to copy it. I want it the same size when I go to the new page. There we go. I want it the same size because this is the one that's going to be the sketch. And then on the sketch one, of course, I make my changes over here and my density might be a little bit this way. Let's see. That's pretty good. But my sketch brush might be down here at, I think 1.8 is where I had it earlier. There we go. And then I'm going to work on this for just a moment. I'm going to get rid of these parts over here that I don't need. And to do that, again, you're just going to go to your outline shape. And I'm going to click way over there because I'm going to use the knife tool. So I'm going to come in right along here and I'm going to put my nodes in all in this area. And I'm going to bring this back out way out here and do end shape. And the reason for that is when I select this, when you use the knife, your knife lines need to be outside your shape area. So I made them extra long. And now all I need to do is I have the, I'm going to actually close the knife tool, have this selected, shift and select the line, right click over here and knife. And then it isolates that part I want to delete, just like that. There we go. And that makes the shape of the actual shape of the outside a little different. So that's pretty good. I'm just going to leave Posy where Posy is right now. I'm going to go back to this one. And over here, I need to do the clipping region to get Posy out of here. So I'm going to use my digitize outline shape and I'm going to go along here like this. And just follow along. Sometimes I'm not zoomed in as close as I normally am, but I'm doing my best to get down in here because I want to leave some extra stuff to show you how to fix it a little bit. So not all of Posy's nose is in this picture. So I'm going to try to smooth it out like that. There we go. And then, of course, I'm going to turn off my digitize tool. I'm going to select both of these. I'm going to right click and down here, add as clipping region. And there's my Posy. I'm going to copy Posy. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to paste. And then I'm just going to slide Posy right on top of there like that. There we go. And it makes a hole. All right. And if I need to, I can adjust these notes. Actually, I'm going to move Posy over just a bit in that area like that, I think. That gets a lot of that. But I can reshape Posy if I need to. Now I have these extra things here, and this is where I would bring in and use my knife tool. I would draw a line to clear all of that up and get rid of it. Let me go back out. I'll show you how I do that. Again, the digitize outline shape. I want to start kind of outside the shape area, and then I'm going to come in here and zoom in. And then I'm just going to run right along. Now that's Posy's eye, so I might leave that part. And then I'm going to come down here and just go a little bit on her fur so I can get those gray parts that I don't want, and then come around the nose. And then in here, and then I think this is part of her mouth, but I might get rid of some of that and just, well, let's see, I think I don't want to go back in there. Let me backspace out here because I think I just want to go here like that, and then bring this out here so it's outside the shape, and shape, select, I got the shape selected, and I want this part selected up here, and let's see what happens with knife. There we go, and it gives me the little parts that I need to delete, and I just select and delete them. And I could go in, I could clean up underneath here as well, because that's the hand, and if I don't want this stuff down in here, I definitely could come back in with my Digitize Outline Shape tool and go right along the hand like this. And I don't know, it might look weird, I'm not sure. And bring this way out here and shape, but I want to go to my edit notes. I want to bring this, I want to check this here, maybe up a little, and then bring this out a bit, make sure it's outside. Select my line, select up here, right click, knife, and then I could come in here and grab that part. There we go. So it works like that. And I could switch back and forth. If I wanted Posy to be a sketch at this point, I could do sketch and play with that. If I wanted them to go back to paint, I could do PaintStitch and have it look like this, and I would fix that up. Though I like it the other, I don't know, I just really like it the other way, with them as sketch and Posy as paint. There we go. So this is really, to me, this is really, really exciting. I'm going to put the camera back on, and here we go. So I really challenge you to start playing with some of the features. I know some people on our Facebook page, the Janome Artistic Digitizer community page. I know there's a lot of people playing over there and posting their things. We have some we have a wide range of people using the software. So don't be intimidated. Sometimes I'm intimidated. Some people are coming out with some great stuff, but look at the pictures, the photographs that you have and the graphics that you have, and see, how you can combine them. Next week, we're going to use the photo stitch and sketch. And we might use some decorative stitches along the way with that too. So we're going to do a little bit of something different, a little artsy with that as well. So you can see there's other things in here, to do with the software. It doesn't all have to be, I don't know, all embroidered, stitches in color. You can use these features, PaintStitch, sketch, photo stitch, and the cross stitch, and you can manipulate them now into shapes, which I find that very exciting. I just think there's so much more we can do with this now. It gives a whole new creative avenue for people to use. So that's what you want to try. Even if you don't like that flower I brought in, I could have made different heart shapes on there and pulled them out, and then they would have the flower kind of in there, and then I could just stitch those. Ooh, that's kind of a cool idea, because they look very textured. They look like not hand stitching, but like thread work. They are a bit of thread work, but you could make a little section like that and then stitch it all over fabric and create maybe even a jacket and have that textured look on your jacket. This is giving me a lot of ideas. I'm going to have to start writing some things down because I always get excited when I see that. So thank you everyone for joining me today as we explore a little bit more with PaintStitch and Sketch, and I challenge you to give it a try. Post your tries over on our Janome Artistic Digitizer page so we can see and we can ooh and ah what you're doing too. All right, everyone, have a great day. We'll see you again next week.